Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Breaking Code, and today we've got another video to box off this road to glory for learning SQL. Okay, please like, comment and subscribe so I can keep this road to glory going for you. Okay, let's recap. So in the last video we looked at how to create a database table and its columns. I showed you how to use the GUI, graphical user interface, to create a table with columns, selecting the relevant data types, giving it some additional constraints such as not null or a primary key. So I didn't only just show you how to do that in SQL Server Management Studio, I also showed you how to do the exact same thing using the query syntax. I even showed you how to switch between databases as well. So this is what we did so far in the last video. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, go check it out. It's on the playlist of the SQL playlist on my channel. Okay. So what do we have? We have two tables. Okay. Both of them have primary key columns. Okay. No, this one and this one. Okay. And one has the name in nvarchar 50, I believe, age in int, gender ID column. I need to rename that, which is also an integer, and this accepts null, whereas these don't. Okay, and then in this table here we have the gender column, which is nvarchar, and none of these accept null. Okay, cool. So I know you were probably thinking, why have I got two tables when we could just store everything in one table? So for example, I could just have this character table, get rid of this gender table, and store the real gender values in these fields here as opposed to the IDs. Okay. So the reason why we do this is because of a concept I'm going to go through with you in a later video in more detail, called normalization. But to keep things really simple, just imagine we had 1 billion characters in this character table, right? Okay, massive data, lots of data. And we also used our character table to store the gender, as I just explained, the gender values. So male, female, unknown, male. Okay, so if we want to change Hector's gender from male to unknown, okay, how do we go about doing that? Okay, well, so we'd come into the database table, we'd find the Hector record, okay, and we just simply change that from male to unknown. Okay, that sounds simple enough. Okay, but what if we then finally find out what Hector's gender is, and it's no longer a known, but it's a new gender called Gmail. Okay, and even better or worse, however you want to look at it, 30 million other characters in this table full of 1 billion characters also have that gender or identifies that gender Gmail. What are we going to do? It's going to be very difficult, because we're going to have to come to the table, find each and every record that have this unknown gender, and then replace that with the new gender. Okay, so wouldn't it just be easier to abstract away that gender information into a new table called gender? Okay, so that every time we needed to change something, we only need to go to this gender table and we just change the record, the unknown, to Gmail, and then that would reflect in all the records that are associated with this record here automatically. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So that's why we have these two tables. Okay, but how do we create that association between the two tables? Well, before we do that, let's go back to SQL Server Management Studios and populate our tables, because at the moment our tables don't have any records. So we're going to populate our table using the GUI. So let's go into the gender table and right click on that, select edit top 200 records or 200 rows, and then we're just going to simply transfer that information over. So it's 1 for the ID and male. Okay, then we have 2 and female. then we have 3 and unknown. Okay, so let's do that. 3 and unknown. Cool. That's pretty much done for that table. Now let's do the same thing for the character table. Okay, that name is still incorrect. Let me just see if I've, because I did correct it. So let's just see if when I refresh that, if the name has been corrected as I, okay, it hasn't. Oh, I corrected the wrong table. Sorry, apologies. So let's rename that to gender. And let's rename that to gender ID. There we go. Okay, now let's right click on this, edit top 200 rows. Okay, so we've got a record in here, 1 Rex 21 and gender of 1. So let's do the next one, 2 Anna 19 and 2. So let's enter that in, 2 Anna. Her age is 19 and she's got the 2 as gender ID. 3 Boros and his age is 100 and ID is, gender ID is 3, I believe. Yeah, cool. And then finally 4 we have Hector and name Hector and age. What was the age of Hector? 34. Now I don't know if you've noticed something. Okay, let's see if you've noticed it, because I've noticed it. Now as I'm entering these values, okay, you can see I can pretty much enter anything I like based on the initial constraints that I set up with the columns. Sorry. So for example, this has to be in varchar, this has to be an integer, this has to be an integer as well. But for this column, I can pretty much put in, whatever I want. So for example, we have in this table certain genders, as you can see here. There's a male, female, and 3 unknown. Okay, but I can enter a gender in here for 343, and it will accept that. Okay. Now, if my manager comes to me, and says, "Oh wow, these tables are looking really good," what gender is this one though? Okay, what's Hector's gender? Well, let's see. So if I go to the gender table, well, I can't see a gender ID for 343. So I can't tell my manager what gender Hector is. So now my data in the persons table is incorrect. And there's a term for this in SQL, which again, we will cover in more detail in future videos. It's called data integrity. And we have now lost this because the data, like I said, is incorrect. So we need to ensure that we can't add any gender to the persons table that isn't in the gender table, okay? And we do that by making an association between the two tables, as I explained here. There's to associate these two tables, okay? Okay, and to do that, or the name of that is a foreign key. Okay, now a foreign key is a column or a group of columns that provide a link between data in two tables. Okay, so it acts like a reference between the tables because it references the primary key of one table because it references the primary key of another table. And that's how we link the two tables together. Okay, so in this example, we are marking the table person, the character table, and its column gender ID, okay, as having a foreign key, and the foreign key will be referencing the primary key in the gender table. So, for example, Rex's gender ID is 1. I can take that value and use it in the gender table to get Rex's gender, which in this instance is a male. But I can't enter a value in the gender ID column of the person table that isn't one of the values in the gender table. Okay? With the exception of null, obviously, because we said in our gender ID column we accept null, so we can enter null too. So for example, what I want to achieve is I want to be able to say that when I enter values like this, it should stop me from doing that. Okay, I can enter null because null is acceptable, because we said this table let me clean that up. We said this table accepts null, but I can't enter, I shouldn't be able to enter values like this, okay? Okay, so how do we do that? So how do we stop this from happening? Because this is a very important thing you need to know, guys, because these type of questions come up in interviews, okay? And you need to have that understanding of why you would want to use a foreign key in a table. Okay, cool. So now we're in SMS Studios. Let's open a new query window so that we can add that foreign key relationship between the character table and the gender table. So let's create a new query. We make sure that we're using the right database, which is the beginning Atlantis DB. Okay, and then we simply write alter table. Okay, then we write the table name. So in this case is dbo.tbl character. Okay, that's that table there. There's information there's written there. Okay, then we want to add a constraint. So we write the words add constraint. Okay, and then we want to give the constraint a name. So usually the format is tbl character, so the name of the table. Okay, then we give an underscore, then we want to give the name of the column we're adding the constraint onto, so it's the gender ID column, and then the type of constraint is a foreign key. Okay, and then we also write the foreign key keyword, because that's the type of constraint we're going for. Okay, and then what column are we adding the foreign key to? So we can just say gender ID, okay, in these brackets, and then we can say what does it reference, okay, what table is it referencing to check that the information in that column is correct. So it's going to reference our dbo.table references, I missed that there, references table gender. Okay, and of that table gender we want to reference the ID column. Cool. So if I execute this query right here, it's going to create a foreign key constraint between these two tables here. Okay, so it will select that as the foreign key, and then it will reference this. It references this primary key in this table here. Okay, so if you want to execute it yourself, if you're following along, you can do. And if we refresh this table, if I refresh it here, and I go down, I click on this keys folder here, I would see the foreign key constraint come up below this primary key constraint. But I'm not going to execute this query because I want to show you how to use the graphical user interface to do exactly the same thing. Okay, so we can do that by right-clicking on the character table, sorry, and then we scroll down to, where is it? Where am I missing something here? Select okay, so my mind went a bit blank there. Okay, let's right click on here, design. Okay, then we want to right click on the column that we want to add the foreign key to. Okay, so right click on that and then select relationships. Okay, and then we get this foreign key relationship GUID or pop-out box. Okay, so we click add, okay, in this window here. Okay, and then we come over to here, and then you should see these 3 dots here, and when you click on that, it should basically give you this. Okay, so here we can specify the primary key table with the drop down. Okay, so the primary key table is, in our situation, the gender, TBL gender. Okay, and then we can also select what column in that table we want to use. So we obviously want to use the ID column, and then obviously in our foreign key table it will be the character table and the ID column of that character. Well, no, actually, sorry, it would be the gender ID of the character table. Okay, then we click OK and click close, and that should save that. Okay, and now if we refresh the table again, let's refresh. Okay, and then we go to keys. Hang on, refresh that. Did I not? What have I missed there? Hang on, sorry, did I miss something there? Okay, design. Oh, of course, I didn't save. Oh, sorry. You have to save this, okay? Make sure you save that, okay? If you don't save that, then it won't save, obviously. Yes, we want to save that. Okay, and now when we click refresh, okay, and then we drop down, there you go. So now we've got that new foreign, you've got the primary key, the one in black, and then you've got this foreign key here. Okay, now just to check that everything we've done works, we go back to the person table, okay, or character table, sorry, and then we click, I don't know why I keep calling it persons, well, they are a person, but character table, and click edit top 200 rows. Okay, now when we want to add this value in, this 343 in, okay, when we click off it, we now get an error. Okay, so the data in row 4 was not committed. Okay, no row was updated, error, source, blah blah blah. So you get that. Okay, so basically it's now stopping us or preventing us from entering incorrect data in there. So let's try another number just to make sure. We'll try 34, and again 34 isn't in our gender table. Let's just double check. So we're only allowed 1, 2, 3 or null. So 34 isn't there. So when we try that, we get that same error now. So it prevents us from doing that. So let's enter in the right value, which is, in this case, it is 1. Okay, so let's enter the right value. And then when we click off of that, cool. So it's let us do that. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so our constraint is now being enforced, thus maintaining the accuracy and thus maintaining the integrity of our data. Okay, hope that made sense to you guys, because that's it for this video. Wherever you are, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and have a wonderful day.